You don't just make out for like, oh my god, like, you know, it'd be so good if I just like it was bubblegum. Like, that's
Spencer.
not Hello.
Why?
Sorry.
You sounded
Immediately British.
Hello there.
Hello there. Welcome back to the Dysfunctional Duo.
Why did you sound like
like Nanny McPhee?
No, like a child. Why am I like
A sad Victorian child.
why do I sound so far away?
Well, you are. Come back.
Wait, is that better?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Is that too loud?
Audience, let us know. Is this too loud? We don't know what the fuck we're doing. Let's just be so for real.
Oh yeah, no idea. That's okay. I don't know, you sounded like a British child from like a show from the Treehouse or something.
Oh my god. Well,
Hello. Maybe it's like the baby from Teletubbies or something.
Ew.
Did that
That
sun
thing didn't
baby ever
talk.
talk? I don't know.
That thing. That's a grown-ass woman now. In like her 30s.
And she will forever be
The
the
son.
baby that was the son. Because her parents thought it would be an amazing thing to have
That
on her
was
resume.
the gig of the lifetime.
Yeah.
Her claim to fame, her legacy in life is being the son in the Teletubby show.
And now she's an accountant.
And now she's an accountant, Susie Joe, in Idaho. She's an accountant. 3 kids, 3 husbands. Love that for her. She's an icon. Do you think she still makes money from that or no? Do you think she ever made money from that? I guess her parents would.
I'm not ignoring you. I just can't multitask.
Sarah's ADHD going off.
I was going to type her name because I wanted, well, not her name, but who is the baby, the son baby?
Who is the baby?
What is going on with my mic arm today? Like, relax, okay?
Mine will like creep in slowly towards me too.
Yeah, like,
every now and
what
then.
is your
It's like,
fucking
hi.
problem?
What do you want?
Who is the son baby
From the Teletubbies.
in Teletubbies? Jessica Smith. Holy shit. You
I
were
thought you were
like,
going to say Jessica Simpson.
you were so close, actually. I think you like
Really? 3 kids, 3 husbands?
Jessica
Idaho?
Elizabeth Smith played the original Son Baby children. Now Jess is still getting recognized and is world famous.
How do you still get
At
recognized?
this moment, she made the reveal during a recent game with her college friends.
How do you... I'll be so for real.
She
If I saw
literally
that
looks
woman
like
walking in the street, I
A
wouldn't have any
regular
idea.
woman.
She just looks like a person. With peace and love, Jessica Smith, you just look like a person. I wouldn't... No.
How old is she?
Probably in her 30s. That was like a 90s show. I guarantee. She's, my guess, 37, 38.
She was English. She was born November 13th, 1995.
Oh shit, she's younger than I thought. She's 29.
29, 1995. And from Kent, England.
Oh shit.
Are you sure she didn't speak in a British accent?
Maybe it was me.
Hello.
She was a baby. What do you mean she didn't speak at all? She just went, That's it.
Okay, fair. I don't know. We're going off topic. What
That's
topic
very
were we talking about? This cute little baby there.
She was a cute little sun baby. I give her that. She was an adorable little sun baby. What
Look
an
at those 2
iconic
little
moment.
bottom teeth.
Right?
Adorbs.
Very off topic for what we were actually planning on talking about today, which is kind of different for us because usually we go in here and we just talk and hope for the fucking
Yeah, we're not
best.
really like not gossip, but like we're not
drama.
we're
We
not
don't
really
care
like
to be drama.
tabloid covered. Yeah, we're not really into the drama, but this feels personal.
Kind of. As a gossip girl connoisseur, kind of hurts my feelings.
As a person who had one of their celebrity crushes be the counterpart, also shocked.
To be so for real, if you don't know what we're talking about now, we're going to discuss, in our opinion, Blake Lively and what the fuck's his name?
Justin Baldoni.
Justin Baldoni's lawsuit against each other.
Yes.
And I think New York Times as well. One of them suing the New York Times.
Justin Baldoni is suing the New York Times. And then I think Blake Lively is suing Justin directly.
All from a movie about domestic violence.
Yeah.
That stemmed from a book.
And because, I don't know, communication wasn't had, like this feels like it could have been avoided.
It does. We'll give like a really quick rehash of kind of what's happened. Essentially, Colleen Hoover writes a book. It ends with us about domestic violence. There's a movie produced. Blake Lively plays the main character, Lily.
Well, let's go back a little bit more.
Okay. I was born 1996.
A lot of people don't know who Justin Baldoni is because he's
I didn't know he was.
A lot of people are like, who is this man? Which I totally get. Justin Baldoni was kind of like a lower level actor for a handful of years and then kind of gained his like rise to success and like rise to stardom with a show called Jane the Virgin, which I would say is still like one of my favorite shows.
I've never seen it, but I've heard really good things of it.
It's an amazing show. And it's an Americanized version of a telenovela that is like a Spanish telenovela. So it's kind of like a remake, but it's for the American audience. They had like a whole cast. The show went on for, I don't know, like 4 or 5 years. The main like love interest in this show is Raphael, who is played by Justin Baldoni. I found him through the show, thought he was a very attractive person, and started to kind of like dive into who this guy was as I continued to watch the show. Justin Baldoni's history was that he was married to a Swedish actress. They had a son and daughter together. They practice, which isn't necessarily important to the context of the story, but kind of is. They practice a religion called the Baha'i Faith, which is they want kind of like oneness of humanity. So it's very kind of like humanitarian focused.
I thought it was a cult. Am I wrong for thinking that? I don't know. I could be wrong. I apologize to the people who follow this religion, but I was under the impression it was a cult. I could be very wrong. But he seems to like to implement his religion onto other people in really weird ways.
I haven't seen anything like too crazy other than like he basically created a production company with the focus in mind of the practices that he follows, which is like oneness of humanity. And so he created this production company called Wayfarer Studios, I think.
Which sorry, total side note, hate that name because I think of the ultrasound Wayfarer. Is that not what it's called?
Yeah, but I've never connected those dots before.
Oh, I only think of the ultrasound because I had to go get a mammogram because I had lumps. TMI, lumps in my boobies, and I was like, oh my god, I have breast cancer. They were just cysts. Don't worry, everybody, it's fine. But also, mammograms, horrific, horrible thing to ever be invented. But
so it's probably why you hate the name because there's like negative.
So. I think it's just
connotation.
Trauma.
Yeah. And so he created a few movies / like a TV show that was kind of around like people who were suffering from life-altering illnesses, diseases, things that kind of like you could never recover from or was really kind of low probability of recovering from. And he interviewed these people who like what their perspective of life was. And these people who were on their last leg or people who were dealing with like these like life-altering illnesses, how they treated people, how they saw life. And it was a really beautiful TV series. It was a very short one. And they ended up meeting these two people on the show. One was a gentleman who was suffering from one illness. I can't remember what it was. And then this other girl who was suffering from a lung illness. Again, I can't remember what it was. And I wouldn't want to misdiagnose or mislabel it. He and his like production company as well as wife like grew a really like strong bond with all these people on the show, but specifically these two individuals. They both ended up passing away, but they were able to do a lot while they were still alive through recognition through the show. And Justin Baldoni went ahead and actually created movies around these two characters. So he created a movie called 6 Feet Apart, which came out around 2020 with one of the Sprouse brothers. Cole Sprouse, I believe.
Probably. I don't know where Dylan is.
And then he's with his like model girlfriend or wife or whatever.
I haven't seen Dylan in a long time.
He just had an interview with one of the like interviewers from YouTube. Anyways, I'm going off topic. I'm trying to stay focused. And And so he created this movie. It got a lot of hype. It was like a theater released movie. It was very emotional, very similar to kind of like Our Fault in the
Our Fault in the Stars.
Our Fault in the Stars. And then they created another movie that was based off the gentleman who ended up passing away and his story. And so that was kind of how he came here, and he ended up receiving the rights to It Ends With Us, which again was story kind of like how humanity can change their perspective. He was kind of staying within the same theme. A lot of people were really excited when he got the rights and his production company got the rights to the story. He also has a history of having a podcast that's called Man Enough. And so it's about him talking about how men kind of have to redefine their level of masculinity and how to support women and their female like energy. And it's all about kind of like unity and unification and how men can talk about their emotions and how they can heal from like toxic masculinity and all these things. So that's kind of like what he's built his pedestal on.
Very like surface level, looking at him on paper, he sounds like such a nice dude.
Yeah.
Like he sounds like one of those actual like male feminists who care about people and is very empathetic. But then, I mean, all of this kind of started with the promotion of the movie, because I didn't know anything about him. I know Blake Lively, of course.
Well, even the
like,
actor who plays Atlas was kind of like a lower level, not lower level, but like a lot of people didn't know him as an actor either. He wasn't like mainstream movies.
Mm-hmm.
The person who came on that was like the kind of life altering, like for the movie, like star was Blake Lively.
She was a name.
Because she has such a like A-level name to her. And, you know, she's married to Ryan, who obviously like has created kind of like a platform for himself as well. And so a lot of people kind of backlashed when they realized that Blake Lively was cast for Lily because she didn't necessarily fit the expectation of people who read the book. So that's kind of how this started, I would say, was kind of like the promotion of once they were beginning to film, people saw like I mean, this is additional stuff. This doesn't necessarily have to do with what's going on with the lawsuit, but like the designers on set were being critiqued. Well, people believed it was the designers, but like the clothing that Lily was wearing wouldn't really match what she wore in the book.
Yeah, people who are like avid book or like fans of the book were saying that like she looks super like frumpy.
Very frumpy, whereas like she was very high fashion, but also very like girl next door in terms of her fashion. And so it wasn't like grungy or like she didn't really show a lot of skin.
Was Blake Lively pregnant during the filming? No, she just had her baby,
She had
right?
just had her baby.
Because breast milk was a part of it, I think.
Yeah.
Or like breastfeeding was a part of the lawsuit.
Yeah.
Which we'll get into. It's so
keep in mind
so
all of this information that we are pulling is social media. We don't necessarily have a pulse on exactly what's going on.
We know nothing.
I just wanted to talk about this because I think you have like a collision of stars.
Yes.
Who in theory all appear to be very liked in good light, and they're revealing things behind curtains that people who would be fans of these celebrities may possibly would have never expected. I, for one, I don't know who to believe, and I think that's the difficult thing. We're also running off of the back of, you know, last year or the year before, I can't remember what it was. We had just come from a lawsuit against Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, where it was a man versus a woman, and he said, she said. And that also unfolded in ways that nobody could have expected. And both actors were villainized because of things that were speculated. So we're not here to say who is who. I'm like, ultimately, I'm not a lawyer.
We're not lawyers. We don't really know anything. So don't sue us.
It's all what's been released in the public eye, which I would say is a lot that both stars have been. Well, no, that's not true. Both stars have made it seem that they're being very transparent and very open about what's actually going on. But there's misinformation that's being shared or information that is being manipulated.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is so weird. Well, like, okay, so starting off, because it was promotional, and that's when I started to get interest. I have the book on my nightside table collecting dust. My sister gave it to me and was like, okay, like, I liked it. You have to read it.
It's a very good story.
I'm getting around to it. I have so many other books that I just would rather read, if I'm being so for real. But the promotion of the fucking movie started, and he was saying like everything correctly. Like he was very much like, this is about domestic violence and like the women.
During the promotion, Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni were not seen in the same location. So they had all these stars who were like, I think Blake Lively and the actor who was playing Atlas, they did promo with each other a lot. But Justin Baldoni was doing it by himself, which could have meant a handful of different things. And I mean, there's a lot of movies that are finding, like, it's crazy how marketing for movies has changed within the last handful of years. Usually when you would market and promote a movie, it was through going and like talking about the movie. But recently there's been a handful of movies that have been on the top of the list, not because of the movie, but because of the stars and the promotion. Anything But, or Anyone But You was one of them, with the false affair that was happening between the two actors and actress. Like, there was promotion through that. They were almost using that as a way to promote the movie. Yeah. There was the movie
Wicked was one of them.
Wicked with Ariana Grande and a possible illness, and like all these kind of different things of like these stars possibly going through like these strange dietary restrictions.
Right. Her and Cynthia like cried at like every interview they had.
There was speculation that Ariana Grande had cancer while she was filming. Just a lot. And again, not about the movie. And Don't Worry Darling was the exact same thing. Like Harry Styles, Florence Pugh, I can't remember the other.
Olivia
Wilde. There was like drama going on, and like some of them weren't wanting to, like Florence Pugh refused to be near Olivia Wilde, and there was like a video that was going viral of like Chris Pine like spitting on Harry Styles, but he didn't actually spit on him.
That's like, funny.
There's just like promo that's like drama worthy. So it's almost funny how like that is now becoming the thing that like promotes a movie.
Yeah.
So I'm not necessarily surprised that this happened, because it had been happening for a while with other movies. But
do you think it was intentional though? Like, do you think they actually planned that?
I don't think it was intentional. Or if it was, no one ever meant for it to go this far.
Because, like, when I first started hearing about the movie, it was all about Blake Lively and how she had such an attitude. And I didn't watch the full interviews. I don't care enough to. But I watched clips of her. And, like, there was this one lady that was like, oh, like, nice baby bump to Blake Lively because she was pregnant, I think, at the time. And Blake was like, yeah, you too. I don't think this was for this movie. I think it was a different movie. But, like, the reporter was not pregnant. So Blake just fully, like, kind of called her fat. In my opinion, allegedly, I don't want to get fucking sued for anything. But, like, she really did have an attitude. Also, like, Justin was very much like, this is for the women and the people who are abused or in abusive relationships. It's about like empowering yourself to like put yourself first. And she was like, put on your florals and let's see you at the movie theater, which I don't think that like all of it is necessarily her own fault. I think like very much like production. I don't know how
wasn't the author also doing that? Wasn't Colleen
she was
also
making like coloring books based on this book? But it was like, this book is about, like, you're coloring a guy punching his wife. Like, what do you mean you made a coloring book? Yeah. Or, like, candles and shit. I don't know what else she made.
I also heard that it sounded like Blake Lively had kind of, like, based on how the movie appeared, based on, like, the fashion choices. Like, it sounded, as things were starting to come out, it sounded like maybe the designers weren't making those choices. Maybe Blake Lively was making those choices. The music that was in the movie. I mean, there are songs from Taylor Swift in that movie. Blake Lively and Taylor Swift are very, very close from what it's seen. And so, very close. Yeah. And so, and you know, I don't want the Swifties coming for me, but there's also speculation about maybe how Taylor behaves out in public. So,
I can't even blink. So
I love that we heard that.
That was Leo. I knew that was coming. That's why we were silent.
So loud.
Just this giant bang.
Loud bang. Okay, continue. It's funny because I heard like the little noises of him going down the stairs.
Right? And
just huge bang. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, continue.
We'll get into it too, but I guess part of that is like, I almost can't blame people like Taylor Swift if they have like a drama princess diva attitude. I probably would too if I made billions of dollars
Yeah.
off of like a tour that I did. Like I would feel fucking high on my horse.
Well, and I had heard some history of how Blake behaved even prior to It Ends With Us. But I almost gave her benefit of the doubt for a period of time because she was married to Ryan Reynolds. And he seems like a really good person and he does a lot of work for charity and all this kind of stuff. And so I always was kind of like, nah, like why would he marry her if she was a shit person?
Mm-hmm.
But now there's information coming out about Ryan Reynolds as well. So,
I haven't heard the Ryan Reynolds stuff.
Well, it seemed so. There was speculation that Ryan Reynolds, and we'll go through the details, but Ryan Reynolds screamed at Justin Baldoni and told him that he would destroy his career.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know where everything lies. Again, if those are for those who are confused, I'm pretty sure Blake Lively's lawsuit document is somewhere on Reddit. I've only seen like bits of it, and like legal jargon is not for me, but she was saying that like he was inappropriate during the majority of
filming.
Justin,
there was not an intimacy coordinator on set,
and he would like improvise kisses, which is not what you're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be like, it's a job, it's mutual consent. You don't just make out for like, oh my god, like, you know, it'd be so good if I just like it was bubble gum. Like that's
Spencer.
not how, that's not how movies are made. Like
we are monetized.
We don't make money off
We're getting demonetized. That's what I meant.
That's okay.
I can't believe you just fucking said that.
Okay, sorry, Louis. Can you blur it out, but also like put it in subtitles?
No. Dear God. Okay.
But you know what I mean? Like you can't just be
no,
like,
I don't know what you mean.
Let's suck on each other's tongues for like a quick second. Like you can't do that. If you want to add more intimate scenes,
you
like
can't
that,
improv
you can't
intimacy
improv
on set.
You have to have
receive consent.
It has to be like you have to sort of go through it as if you're going through a play. Like I don't know, like stage it out.
Yeah.
You can't just do it unless there's consent to it.
Correct.
And from her her perspective, there was none. He also was like saging her employees, which I think is kind of hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
He would go into her trailer at like while she was breastfeeding and like talk to her. I think he cried in her trailer for like 2 or 3 hours about how everyone online was saying that she did not look like the main character and that she was too old and to this and to that. And he was like crying to her about the things that they were saying about her. And she thought that was fucking weird. I think the worst part for me, if it's true, was he basically told her to get naked for the birthing scene, and she refused, and then they compromised on her being naked, I think from like the shoulders down, which is naked, and all she had was a little cloth to cover herself. And usually in like nudity scenes, they have what they call like a closed stage, I think, where like basically like only the director, maybe a few other people can see what's going on for the sake of like actually filming, but it's not broadcasted like across the whole studio. Whereas in this case it was. Like she didn't have the privacy. Justin Baldoni got like one of his really good friends to play the doctor who is like helping her in the scene. So he was like close to her, and it made her feel very uncomfortable. She literally had like nothing but like a cloth.
The doctor or the nurse?
I'm not sure.
I can't remember. Oh, it was the ultrasound doctor. It's his wife who plays that character.
Oh, it's I know his wife. I've heard his wife is like she does cameos in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, his stuff.
But apparently he had like a male friend also play a super small part. Which, like, wouldn't be that bad, but, like, I think because it was, like, a nude scene, she felt uncomfortable. There was a whole other thing, like, she was breastfeeding. This is another big one. She was breastfeeding. When you're breastfeeding, I'm not a mother. I've never been a mother, so, like, this is just what I've heard from other mothers. But you have to essentially pump or breastfeed every 2 hours, or else, like,
it hurts. You'll get infections.
Your breast will, get enlarged. You get infections. There's a specific kind. I think she actually was denied it for 6 hours of, like, breastfeeding, which means that she was probably in a significant amount of pain, if it's true. And then she got an infection from that. She was exposed to COVID. Her and her newborn were exposed to COVID because Justin Baldoni didn't want to say that there was COVID, because I think it would have like, I don't know, cost money or like slowed down production. I'm not actually sure why, but there's she had a repertoire. She had a laundry list, a grocery list, a Christmas grocery list for like all the things that she was suing him for. And in that moment, I was kind of like, I was on her side. I was like, she had so many things that were like so specific and like weirdly detailed that you're like, she's not making this. She can't make that up. And she had texts to prove it, which is so weird that like him and his publicist, Jennifer, was like in the plot to like ruin her career. And then I guess when like the promotion started coming out and she's acting kind of bitchy, which she was, they didn't plan for that. Like she very much like kind of like shot herself in the foot. Yeah, with that. But I think she was also, I've heard people say like she's potentially jaded if she had all these negative experiences with him. And I just listed like a few.
Of course. That
like she just didn't care enough about this movie and what it was to like actually promote it. I think she did like the bare minimum and was like, okay, cool. Like leave me alone. I lost my train of thought. Just that easy.
I definitely like was appalled when I had seen the New York Times come out with all this information. And I was like, oh my God. Right? And then Justin Baldoni retorted back with information, and he sent a lot of text messages that were the text messages that Blake had shared, but they had been manipulated from the original text messages. There was statements as like her showing too much skin was actually her idea, and that it was more tasteful. She had requested for a PG rating for the movie instead of like an R rating for the movie. Justin had said that Ryan Reynolds had come on set. I can't remember for what reason, but he had come on set and screamed at Justin and told him that he was going to ruin his career because he had denied something for Blake. And it wasn't something negative. It was like she wanted this, and then like the PG rating, he was like, I don't think we can swing that. And then Ryan Reynolds came in and attacked him. I don't think that's what the example was, but it was something of that example. He had said that he didn't cry in her trailer for however long because of her character, but because she had said such nice things about his work. And so he was moved by it. And so he shared the text messages of him thanking her for that. And so she, like, it seems like there's manipulation of information on whatever end. It
was crazy. So, like,
it's funny because I don't know who to believe.
Neither do I.
But the receipts of their behaviors, Blake has more negative receipts.
Against
like people
him?
Are just of her
like
character.
She looks worse.
Because not even in this event, but people are pulling up receipts of how these people were behaving prior to this incident going down to talk about their character. And Blake Lively has more negative receipts coming up of how she spoke. Apparently the cast of Gossip Girl, a lot of people couldn't stand her. A lot of people really didn't like her. There's interviews of her speaking poorly about her co-stars. There was also speculation that Justin Baldoni had a co-host on his podcast who was a woman. She ended up leaving the podcast and no one really knew why. They thought it was due to her just like wanting to, change her career, wanting to focus on something different, wanting to be creatively like different. But now there's speculation that she's actually siding with Blake. And so they're like, well, what does she know that would make her side with Blake? So it's just interesting how they're doing that. The other thing I would note is like Justin Baldoni, he used to share pictures of his children, of just like, photos of his family. And because I don't follow him on Instagram anymore. I think I stopped following him like 9 months ago or something. Not for any reason, just because I was just like, oh, I don't really watch his content anymore. I'll just stop following. But I used to really like the content he was coming out with, so I followed him, and he would have like videos of his kids, like a lot of celebrities sometimes do. And then I went to go check back on him when I heard that he was coming out with It Ends With Us, and I saw that he actually would censor his kids' faces out of respect to his children, to like not have them be in the public eye as much. And I actually found to like respect that a bit. It felt a little contrary because it was like, well, you already posted pictures of your kids, but it seems like he's incredibly respectful of people and their boundaries. It seems like and that might just be a falsified image. I have no idea.
I think it, honestly, at this point, I think it might be.
But at the same time, all his co-stars from Jane the Virgin, no one has spoken out about anything. And I would be genuinely curious if anybody did, because I think that says a lot about who he would be as a character. If Gina Rodriguez spoke out about who her co-star was on Jane the Virgin and said that he would never do this, I would believe her. Because there's far too many co-stars that Blake's been with and they've sided against her.
See, I've actually read that a lot of the people who are on set for this movie are taking her side, as well as her fellow Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, or Jeans, whatever.
Like American Ferrera?
Yeah, like she's actually been like, I side with Blake, and so the other co-star dude, he also, and one of the other ladies, like two of the co-stars from the movie are siding with her. Her sisterhood siding with her.
Then here's my curiousness to this, and this is like rabbit hole a bit.
Please.
But Blake and Ryan are upper level stars.
Yes.
They can make magic happen.
Yes.
How much of this is, if you side with me, I will change your life?
I don't know.
And how much of it is, if you side with him, we will destroy you?
But like, I see that, but at the same time, like if she, because at first it looked like she had the receipts, but if he's coming out being like, I have obvious proof it was altered, like what leg do you stand? Like what was she trying to accomplish? She doesn't need
her image.
Large standing.
This is why I'm not sure, is because her image was tainted because of how she promoted the movie.
But like if she waited, like realistically in the grand scheme of like the internet, if she'd waited 3 months, no one would give a shit.
For sure. But
and Ryan was like, that in my opinion, at least for as much as I could see, like Ryan was still untouchable. Like Ryan Reynolds is Ryan Reynolds. Like
yeah, he was
Blake
totally
Lively
untouchable.
could shoot someone in the fucking foot. And he'd be like, and people would be like, okay, but Ryan, like, I want to love you.
But she got a lot of backlash from her, the way she behaved during the promotion. A lot of people were losing respect for Blake. And so I wonder if this was a promotional, like her public relations team said, let's use what we can to manipulate the story. And I'm not saying I side with Blake. I'm not saying I side with Justin. I don't know who Blake could be. This could have all happened to Blake.
I think they're both right and they're both wrong.
And if that's the case, that's horrible.
Yeah.
But the case could also be that Justin Baldoni is being taken under fire for no reason because she wants to uphold an image, which could also be true. And that's also terrible.
See, I don't think that
here's
it's
the
random,
thing. This is the consensus I have of this, regardless of who's right or who's wrong, who's woman, who's female, who's male, who has more power. It really doesn't. To me, my shock of this is regardless of how this goes, somebody's image, both of their images are already tainted for me. I already don't see Blake Lively in the same way because of how she promoted the movie. That was her choice to choose to promote it that way. And how she spoke to people, how I've seen her speak to people in interviews, makes me question her character. How Justin is behaving during this moment and how he has created his foundation of being this man for the woman and then possibly not treating women respectfully. It has also tainted how I see him in the future.
Unless he can fully convince everybody that he is clean hand and like she's made. But I can't imagine that she would make all of this up. And I get.
And here's the thing. Ultimately, both of them are human and they both had the possibility to make some severe mistakes.
And I think they did. I don't think it's a question of like, well, who's right or who's wrong. I think they're both right. I also think they're both wrong.
Yeah.
I think they're both guilty in this situation. I don't think they liked each other from the beginning.
I think Justin felt like he made a mistake when he took Blake in. I think Blake probably did stronghold the production a bit because she's been known to do that in previous movies. Mm-hmm. She has the power to do it. She probably knew that she was worth $1 million to that production company, and having her name attached to that movie meant a lot. And so you have a combat of two different dynamics head to head with each other, and neither one of them want to forfeit control.
That's what just like doesn't make sense to me. Like if like let's say she didn't like honestly, in my opinion, she doesn't need any movie. Like she could retire, and maybe that's not what she wants to do, but she could retire because Ryan Reynolds makes probably enough just as Deadpool.
Of course,
he could walk into a room as Deadpool, and he's got millions of dollars in his pocket.
Yeah,
like 100%. I don't think she needs the money. I don't think she needs the promotion. I don't know if she actually like really does a lot in work wise. I know she's had like a few movies here and there.
Don't they have like 4 or 5 daughters now?
No, that's like they have kids, and like not to say that like because she's a woman she has to be the one to like settle down at home, but like
I would
too.
If
like,
my husband is making Deadpool,
yeah,
I would retire to Canada and take my kids. Like that's what I would do.
Exactly. So like
that's the other thing to this is like I had a lot of respect for Justin Baldoni and who he was prior to all this. I thought he was a really good guy, and maybe it was a falsified image, but I also have a lot of respect for Ryan Reynolds and who he is. There was and these are like additional stuff, right? Like people were like, oh, well, look at the receipts of Blake Lively. Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively got married on a plantation in Louisiana, and
like willingly, knowingly.
Yeah.
Oh,
from what is said. Yeah, they got married on a plantation.
That's not cute.
So it's like, okay, yeah, like you may have fucked up, but like also, don't you think that you would probably know the research of if you were on a plantation or not? So it's like those little things. Apparently, like, people are coming out and saying that Ryan Reynolds is actually a big dick. And like people will be like, oh yeah, I've worked with him and he's not a nice guy. So then it's like, wow, but you're Canadian. Like, why are you, fuck man, you're ruining,
right?
Like, why are you doing this to the Canadians? So it's like, regardless of who is right or wrong, images are tainted all over the place.
Everyone sucks.
And so it feels like I have skin in the game, not personally, but like we've talked about this in a previous episode where you become like kind of emotionally attached to these stars. Yeah, you have a parasocial relationship with these people, and they've done you dirty. Like
you feel personally attacked,
and they didn't do me dirty, but like you're being a shit human being for whatever reason, and like fuck, man, really, like I liked you as a person, and now I question your. And here's the thing: is I think Blake is also being met with the resistance against people who believed Amber, and Amber was guilty.
I think they were both guilty, but she was fucked.
Johnny Depp was also like I watched the documentary about their lawsuit, and like he also did some pretty shitty things. But like again, you're in a human relationship. It seemed like she had manipulated the court a little bit more than he had.
Yeah, for sure.
So there was like it ruined her career. Like I think she retired in Spain or something. So now that's why I'm also like, why would she sue Justin Baldoni? Or sorry, and she didn't sue Justin Baldoni at first. Justin Baldoni sued her first and the New York Times.
Wait, I thought she sued first.
No, she just released evidence of what happened on set.
Then why?
And then he sued her, and then she sued him back.
Then did he re-sue her? Because like from what I've seen, like that TikTok you sent me, I think specifically, was like his proof as to like why what she was saying was like technically like not true, and how he was like actually the one telling the truth and she was only telling parts of the truth to like swindle everything. Because he was I think he was testifying that she wanted to fix like her reputation, as to say, because this whole thing ruined it. But he's not the reason that it ruined in the first place.
Okay, you might be right. You might be right. I think Blake sued Justin for sexual harassment and a campaign to destroy her reputation. He sued her back and the New York Times. Okay. So I think you're right.
I don't know if you know this. I found this out. I was watching Do You Know Them? They're the best podcast, in my opinion. They're like a drama podcast. Jessie Smiles. Do you remember her from Vine?
No. What would her big Vine be?
I don't even know. Peace of love, Jessie. I don't remember. Jessie Smiles and Lily Marston. Lily was on Beauty Break with Jocelyn. This was like kind of an older YouTube video. They just like test out different beauty products. They make a podcast together and they were discussing it. And yeah, apparently at one point before the lawsuit, I think, he was reaching out to like one of those like TV doctors to be like, I want to discuss my ADHD and like my neurodivergence, so that people understand like why I can be socially weird and come off like different and like all these things. And they made a point of just like, and I totally agree that it's like, okay, you have ADHD, but if you were making weird remarks,
we're all having ADHD.
We all have like ADHD doesn't, sometimes you can get a bit yappy and say things like I just said a while ago about like chewing bubble gum, but
I cannot believe you just said her ADHD is
we can't
so uncut.
In case anybody was like, you can't do that unless there's consent.
Too late, Spencer.
Well, whatever. But he, I guess, wanted to do that as like a pre-up because he knew it was coming. Like he wanted to protect himself by like talking about like, oh, well, I have ADHD and because of that, like I might say things that come off weird to people, but like I'm not malicious. Like I don't mean it. At the same time, it's like I have ADHD and I'm not going around showing people my, like labor videos.
Yeah.
Or like watching or refusing people to like breastfeed or like talking sexually or like saging people.
But here's the thing, and that's the thing is like if he's showing videos of his wife giving birth and like he promotes all this stuff about like how beautiful it is and like him and his wife have been very open and honest. His wife owns a company that is made for mothers. I actually have like 2 of them because I actually just thought they were cute, but like, you know, future kids, like I hope you appreciate them. They're like breastfeed covers that are for the baby, but they can like see out, but then there's privacy to the woman. The company's called We Are Amma, and it's this huge company that like promoted like inclusivity for women and breastfeeding mothers and all this stuff. It's like, if you come from all that and you show like a labor video and you're open, why would you refuse a woman to pump? Or did Blake just forget? Like, this is like, right? You know what I mean?
Like, yeah, like was she like, did she say like, I need to go pump now? Or was she like, you know what, like I can hold off for a little bit. And then 6 hours later, she's like, why did no one tell me I wasn't pumping?
I also wonder like how much of her, because, you know, while she was filming, she had just had her baby. Like, were there interactions also like maybe a little bit more considered volatile because she was postpartum? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's so much to the story that we don't know. And
we're getting like emotional perspectives from each party.
Yeah.
But then like the COVID thing, like he didn't disclose that there was COVID.
Well, why wouldn't you disclose it? Like, what's
disclose
the point of not to, especially when you, but like it's normalized, and he filmed during COVID.
And his publicist kind of outed them too. I think like Jennifer, his publicist, she was making comments too about like, and I think she like defended herself, but they were making comments about like ruining her career.
And it's like there's no other messages that are fighting against that. So it's like he agreed to that. Why would you want to destroy a woman's reputation when you stand for women? It just seems icky all around. The other thing that I question is like Blake Lively is an A-level actress. She has ran into situations before where she's had, apparently she wasn't very polite on A Simple Favor either, which was a movie around kind of like, you know, like sexual assault and like all this kind of stuff. Like, so, but you've done this for years. You've been a woman in movies where there's possibly intimacy. Wouldn't it be a red flag if you were signing a document where they didn't have an intimacy coordinator? Why would you continue the scene if there's not an intimacy coordinator?
Good point.
Why wouldn't you refuse? Why wouldn't you say, I won't do the scene until there's an intimacy coordinator? You've been on set for a long period of time. You're a woman on set. So like, and I can understand the perspective of, well, a woman on set maybe doesn't want to make people upset. They don't want to make people uncomfortable. But you've been a woman on set for years. You also advocate for female rights and speaking out as a woman on set. So why wouldn't you fight against that if that's something that was a red flag for you? It would have been a red flag for you because you've been on set before with intimacy coordinators. If this is something that never happens, then why wouldn't you question that? You have a team behind you that supports you with all of this. Don't you think that you would go through the contract and make sure everything was accurate before you signed to it?
Well, like I don't know if it's like a production thing, because from what I've heard, it sounded like for the most part,
having an intimacy coordinator on set would have to be something in the contract.
It would have to be. You would think so, but because it's his company, like Sony, I think kind of like
loopholes.
No, like I don't think they're even a part of it. I think they're just kind of like, here's the money.
But
I don't know
what other production companies tied to this, because it wasn't just Wayfair.
It's Sony.
It's Sony.
It is Sony.
So-
but Sony had nothing to do with it. Like, they were pretty hands off. I think it was very much like, here's whatever you need to make the film. But his company was the one to, like, oversee everything and run everything. Which is why, like, I don't even think she's suing Sony. I'm actually not.
And here's my curiosity too, because like Sabrina Carpenter has a really good relationship with Justin Baldoni.
Okay.
Because she's done work with him. I would be curious to know what her perspective of this would be. Cole Sprouse, he was in a movie with him. What's his perspective? You have these actors and actresses who've worked with him before. Why is nobody saying anything?
I was going to ask you because, like, I know for a fact I've seen people on their Instagram story, they've been like, I stand with Blake Lively.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like they link to, like, the lawsuit and all these things. I haven't seen a single person stand up for him, which to me is a red flag.
Right?
And I get it. She's done shitty things in the past. She could be bitchy. She's a human being, but there's no such thing as a perfect victim either.
No, of course
not. And if he did what he did, then he... But then,
and why is nobody, and it's such strong allegations against him, don't you think that if you were a friend of his as a woman, you would go, this seems weird?
Right? Like,
wouldn't you go, at least in my experience, this never happened?
Well,
he had multiple scenes with Gina Rodriguez and Jane the Virgin where they were intimate. Don't you think you would question it?
Well, it makes you wonder. I mean, this is something that, like, the Do You Know Them girls kind of brought up is, like, has he done this before?
He officiated Gina Rodriguez's wedding because she met her husband on the set of Jane the Virgin. He married the two of them.
I mean, he could be very charismatic.
This is what I'm like.
Ted Bundy was a very charismatic guy.
I know,
like,
and so that's why I'm like, is this all for show? Are you actually a person who could do these things?
And then I guess, like you look back on his promotional stuff and, like, he really does just say all the right things. And I think it's amplified by the fact that she just didn't give up.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, she didn't care.
She didn't give up. She didn't care at all.
But do you think she did that out of spite towards Justin
100%.
because of maybe what her experience could have been?
I think she was sour. I think she was salty about her experience. I think she probably knew that she was going to sue, and she was like, I don't care. Even Colleen, the author of the novel, has stood with Blake Lively in her position.
As the writer of a domestic violence story where the woman is being victimized, I think her, like, if she had a publicist, her publicist would be like, You have to. You wrote this book. You wrote a book about it.
This is your book.
Yeah. What if you side with him and like, it's wrong? Like, you know what I mean?
But then if you sided with him, it would make the public kind of stamp. Because, like, I typically am like, if a woman says something happened to her, I'm going to believe her until proven otherwise.
Of course.
So if other people were like, no, we're standing with Justin, like, he's never... I've worked with him before, you know, I've never seen this behavior, as you said.
Yeah.
But nobody's done that.
Yeah.
Like, you know, he ordains a wedding, but, like...
This case is so interesting because, like, with the Amber Heard and the Johnny Depp case, it was a relationship. They were emotionally engaged with each other. Mm-hmm. They had married each other before there was claims of domestic violence and SA and all this kind of stuff. So... they both had skin in the game. They both had an emotional connection towards each other. There was no kind of like, you know, it was a man versus a woman, which was a really big deal between celebrities. That's why it was so popular when it happened. Both like, you know, high level stars that lost things because they were in this like lawsuit.
Right.
But it wasn't like a man with power versus a woman with power, like that kind of like masculinity, femininity, give and take, feminism, like all this kind of stuff, right? Like the things that we talk about now, the things that women are still fighting for, but then you have a situation like Amber Heard where they're like, well, like, fuck, like, you're the reason that, like, people question, like, women, like, there's this kind of, like, counterproductive thing, right? Like, people fight for women to have equal rights, but then women do stupid shit sometimes, and it's like, well, fuck, like, now they're not going to give us, the men aren't going to want to give us the shit we want. And then you have men on the other side who have a history of men who are just terrible. And so you have the men who aren't terrible, and they're like, I have everything against me because of the history of who I come from. Yeah. And so it's like, I'm not guilty, but because of the history of what men have done to women, they're going to believe the woman.
I'm like guilty by association.
Yeah. And, you know, you had Amber Heard who used that to weaponize and take action against Johnny Depp because she knew that women were people were probably going to side with her because if she played victim, she was going to look much more innocent than he would because he's a man, right? Like there's things like that. This is the first case where you have a man in power who has a production company, who's a director, who's also the co-star of this movie, and a woman who has power, who has a high level, but she's a woman on set. She's playing a character who is undergoing DA and essay, I think, both. And they're going head to head about who did who wrong. Because ultimately that's what's happening.
It's so ironic.
She's saying that he sexually harassed her. He used his power to manipulate her experience, which in the past men have done to women on set all the time, specifically directors and producers, to actresses on set. And you have an actress who is saying these things, using that as her weapon. And you have a man who's coming out and saying, this woman is manipulating these things to claim innocent and victimize herself when I didn't do these things. And I have to convince people that I didn't do these things because they already believe I did. That's what this case is. Essentially.
But my thing is like, I think it would be, I don't know. I think it would be absolutely wild bananas of her if she is faking a lot of it or exaggerating.
It was wild bananas that Amber Heard shit on Johnny Depp's bed.
Which I totally believe. It was not a Pomeranian. Girl, be so for real. Just admit it. Honestly, own up to it.
So, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised on any consensus. If he's guilty, I wouldn't be surprised. If she was guilty, I wouldn't be surprised.
I think they're both guilty, though. That's the thing.
But they're both innocent, too. They both... It looks like both of them, maybe it went too far, whatever that looks like. I have no idea.
Right? We weren't there.
But here's the thing. Like, based on who Justin Baldoni is and the kind of passionate person he seems to be, I could also see him taking things too far. I could.
Potentially. Like, it could just very well be...
But then you're also in a healthy marriage, and is your wife on set when this happens?
He was gay. Can I say that? I'm so sorry. I thought he was gay.
That's fair. I don't know what that means, but...
I don't know. I just, like, when it was like, oh, like, my wife and, like, he was being sexual, I was like, oh, I didn't know you swung that way. Like, work. I don't know. Period. But, like...
Do you think if he was gay, it would be a benefit for him?
Well, I don't know. I guess so. Maybe because she'd be like, well... Maybe you're just, like, being too comfortable. Whereas, like, if there's that, like, level of attraction, then it's, like, weirder.
Yeah.
There's also, because she was alleging in her lawsuit that, like, he also improvised a scene where he was, like, sucking her lips. And it was one of those, like, montage scenes where, like, you don't have to speak. Sound won't be included in the final cut. And he was, like, saying weird things to her, saying that she smelled good, and was, like, sliding, like, improvising intimacy where he was, like, kissing down her neck and, like, doing all these things.
Well, the actress who played his sister.
In the movie?
Yeah. Has she said anything?
Can you say her? Can you show me a picture of her?
Yeah, I'll show you a picture.
I'm pretty sure she's the one that stood with Blake Lively.
Really?
If it's who I think it is. I forget her name. I'm so sorry. I'm bad with names. But that, I don't know. That's the thing, though, is like...
Jenny Slate.
Can I see her face? Yep, she stood with Blake Lively.
Interesting.
I think you might be able to see it. She made, like, a statement. I saw in an article that she was like, yeah, I'm, like, on Blake's side, and I believe... But then I don't know if it's just people being like, oh, well, Blake's a woman, so, like, she must be right, you know?
But you're on set. You would see these things, wouldn't you?
That's what I mean. And that's why I'm like... to me, it's more convincing that, like, the more people on set that take Blake's side means that, like, something is going on there. Like, she has, I guess, in, like, a car ride, he was saying really weird things. I don't recall what it was, but he was making weird comments. And when he got out of the car, her driver was like, I don't think you should be in, like, a close proximity to this man. Which, if that's true, that means she has a witness. And if she has if she's telling the story in the lawsuit, likely she's talked to this person beforehand to be like, hey, will you come testify? And if they said yes, then, like, that doesn't look good against Jason. Same with whoever, Justin, Jason, who cares? Whatever.
Who is this man?
I don't know who you are. But, like, the girl who plays younger Lily, I guess she had a scene, like a nudity scene, and he wanted her to have, like, an orgasm or something. And then after, like, filming, he was like, that was so hot.
What?
Yeah. Like, there's a lot to it. in like her lawsuit, like there's so much that I'm like, again, like if it's true, then like that young actress can very well testify against him.
Yeah.
And then what?
Yeah.
You know? But then again, like, why is she posting text messages if they're fake? You know, if he can prove, what the fuck are you talking about, bitch? I have the real receipts.
Yeah.
I can countersuit.
Yeah.
So that's why
and that's why I'm like, my only theory is maybe she like gave them a deal.
Maybe.
Hey, you stand with me and we'll get you your next big. She's a upper level actress, and her and Ryan have been in like the favor of the public for years, man. Like he convinced Deadpool to come out. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
So like, how much power do you have? And like, I don't know. That's when I'm like down the rabbit hole. I'm like, shit, like they talk about this stuff where like celebrities like make these weird deals with the devil kind of stuff. And I'm not saying like that's what they did, but like, how much power do you have? Who do you know? Are you able to make these claims? Because there's no one more powerful than Blake on set.
I guess so. But at the same time, like, do you guys know the internet? Like, you could be you could be the golden child of the internet. You do one wrong thing, you're executed. People will turn on you like that. I don't care if you're Ryan Reynolds. I don't care if you're BTS. I don't know. People will turn on BTS, but like,
it doesn't. If they would turn on it,
Taylor Swift.
I
Probably
never expected anybody to turn on either of these actors and actress, and they did.
I didn't expect them to turn on each other.
They're turning like, and there's people who stand Justin too. Like when I'm watching these videos, people are like, "Well, there's no reason that he would do this," and so it's like. Again, I don't side with either one of them. I have no idea what to expect.
We're just waiting for it to pan out.
I genuinely don't. I don't not believe Blake, and I don't not believe Justin. I don't know what to believe right now. But there are people who thought he was an incredible actor, incredible director, spoke real honest messages. I was one of those fans, and now I don't fucking know.
And I think that's like the hardest part is like, regardless of how it turns out, like you said, like your view on them is tainted now. Like never expected.
But your wife is on set, and that's the thing that it's like, if Justin's wife is on set, which it seemed like she was on set a lot, then why would he be saying these things? Why would he be doing these things when he talks about his wife in such a high light? He talks about how much he respects her. He posts about her so fucking much. And so it's like, it obviously seems like they're in love. But then there's also speculation that Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively's marriage was a complete hoax and it was just for fame. So it's like, and these are all like rumors and things that have happened through the years. Like, I'm not saying that this is all coming out, but it's like, no one has a stable foundation to stand on right now. And so it's like, who the hell do you believe?
I think that's the unfortunate part is that like we are all kind of like flies on the wall, but we're like in the wall next door. Like we're in a different house.
Yeah.
So we're only hearing what they want us to hear, what is being released to the public. And unfortunately, like we don't know these people deep down. We don't know their traumas. We don't know how they actually are, what they're experiencing.
Of course, we have no idea who these people are.
So it's hard because we're like, you get one bias and then all of a sudden somebody releases something else where it's like, I can prove that text messages are fake.
Here's the thing:
and
is like
everyone.
I also love Hugh Jackman as an actor and as a person. The way he speaks, and he's best friend with Ryan Reynolds, and he's got a close relationship with Blake Lively. You have stars who can speak about Blake and Ryan's character. You don't have a lot of people who can speak about Justin's, and so. Is it just because he is in a siloed community, or is it not in the public eye, or is it because people don't want to be around him because of how he chooses to behave? Like, who the fuck knows?
Who the fuck knows? I mean, I think at this moment, I'm leaning more towards Blake Lively. I think I'm more on her side.
I'm honest. I'm neutral. Like, and either way of how this goes, whoever ends up being guilty. It's appalling that appalling. This had to go down the way that it did.
It's very unnecessary.
Like, if all those things happened to Blake, that's terrible.
That's horrible.
That's horrible. And why would you ever want to be in that experience?
No, fair.
And if those things didn't happen and there's an attack happening to this guy who's a director, that's terrible.
Because why?
And like, why? What a shit way to resolve a movie that you took because you were excited about sharing another message about humanity. well, your perspective of humanity will probably fucking change after this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like,
Mhm.
either way, somebody's having an awful experience.
I think everyone is. Like, I don't know, they both seem so confident too with like, I'm gonna sue. Okay, bet I'm suing too. Like, I don't know. They both seem to like feel like they are in the right, at least publicly. I'm just like, I'm confused by it all because I'm just like, why? Why did it need to go this extreme? Is this still like a pub? Like, are they all fucking in on it and we're the like idiots with our thumbs in our up our nose? Like, what's happening here?
And in a month, Colleen Hoover will release her second book, and it's called It Didn't End With Us.
It didn't end at all. ... Oops.
And this is the promotion for that book.
Yeah.
No, I honestly, I have no idea. But I feel like it can't be falsified. Because, like, why would she do it then? Why would she have said those things? Why would she have released...
And there's some that are so specific, and they involve other people that, like, if you brought those people to stand and say, did this happen? And they were like, no. Then you look stupid. Like,
well,
you look dumb.
And here's the thing, like, you give me one of those examples and I'd be like, that's weird, but that's not like fucking sue him worthy. But if you got 30 of them, yeah, that's sue worthy.
If they keep piling up, like,
even if
it's weird.
And like, it's crazy because it shouldn't be the case. But like, even if the only thing she had was how he chose to behave on set when they were having their intimate scenes, she didn't have everything else, it wouldn't have been so severe. But because she also had the fact that he was like in her trailer and he was sharing this information and he sobbed in her car and the things that he was saying offset and like
the videos that he was showing,
and if he was behaving that way, if this is actually what he was doing, I would understand why Ryan Reynolds screamed at him on set then.
I mean, if it's
Do you know what I mean?
all true,
if that's how he was choosing to behave, I could understand why Ryan was like, I will ruin your fucking career. Because how dare you do that to my wife?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The mother of my newborn child. Like, who the fuck do you think you are?
Yeah. I don't know.
But then, like, I can't see why, again, like you said, like, Blake Lively with Ryan Reynolds, they are a power duo. I can't imagine that they would need this unless they felt it was absolutely necessary. Like I said, yeah, she got really bad press. And in my opinion, she kind of deserved most of it because she was being a bitch.
Yeah, she wasn't great on
you
on
could
her
have just,
promo.
like, if she was just not into it, she could have just bit her tongue, got through the promotions, made her money, got her bag, and then like skedaddled. Like, you have millions of dollars at home, like, you're fine, girly pop. Like,
But
you're
I think
okay.
because she's trying to build a career for herself, that could be the only reason why she would have chosen to do this.
No offense, but you just had a newborn baby. Like, building a career is not a priority in this moment for you, in my opinion.
No, but they also have 5 kids. Like, I think their decision was made that they're building their career. Like, Blake never retired. Well, I mean, she's been on mat leave and stuff, but like, Ryan retired for a year, but he's still making stuff. But he's also worked with so many actors and actresses too, who've had probably connections with Blake. It's just so hard to like understand. And like, Blake has spoken out about children who are trafficked. Like, she's done really good stuff too. So it's just,
well, he's also speaking out about stuff. So it's just like, doesn't even matter if you speak out about it if you're gonna like go against it. Like, who knows what they mean for like cameras.
And here's the thing: whoever's guilty,
true,
their image has been falsified. Then
I mean, all of them are kind of
of course, yeah. No one's perfect, and like anyone that you see on like, you're just having a highlight, but ultimately, these 2 people have advocated for some very profound things. And regardless of whatever the outcome is, whoever is guilty, they'll lose their image.
Yeah, it's true. And I think that's why they're both so, because they both,
there's a lot standing on this.
It's not just like you weren't professional. Like, there's a lot of the line. It's like it
was the same with Amber and Johnny.
Live or die situation.
Yeah.
Like, they're fighting for the death. And by death, I mean like their fucking career.
Justin's guilty. He loses his production company. He will never make anything again. And he will not be allowed, like, no one will stand for his podcast anymore.
Nope.
Like, he won't be able to talk about being a man for the women. And if Blake is guilty, no one will ever want to work with her on set again.
No. And like, that affects Ryan.
Image will be tainted.
Yeah. If she's lying, she's affecting not only herself, but her husband. Which, I mean, if they just
this is why I side with you.
Fine.
Why would you sue first then?
Yeah,
if that was if there's that much riding on it.
Especially because Deadpool now is like such a cult classic. Like, it's
and people love Ryan. People love Ryan.
Straight men especially.
Yeah, it's true.
It's weird.
Yeah.
But like,
I get it.
I don't see why she would risk it all just to destroy somebody else's career. Whereas like if he
Unless there was a reason for it.
Yeah. And like I kind of can see if he was like, well, fuck, like she's gonna go and say all these things about me, that's gonna damage my career. I have to retaliate. You know, whether he's guilty or not, or both.
Well, and I wonder if she would have sued him if they wouldn't have fucked her over during the promo. Because they also tried to ruin her image.
See, I think that they wanted to, and then the internet did it for them, and they were like, I think they just made sure he looked better in comparison. Like again, that's why I think everything he says is like, yes, like it checks all like the marks of like feminism and like inclusivity and empathy. You know, it's like,
you know what's crazy too, and this is completely like, this is a tangent, and we've been talking for an hour, so like we'll probably end on this, but like it's funny that this is all going down because we talked about Ted Bundy. You know, he was a serial killer who was incredibly charismatic. People loved him even when he was in court, like testifying for all the stuff that he had done to those poor victims. There's a movie that just came out recently with what is her name? She's in Pitch Perfect, Simple Favor.
Anna Kendrick?
Anna Kendrick, yeah. She's in this movie called Woman of the Hour, and it recently came out on Netflix and I think Prime. Anyways, I watched it with no real context as to what the movie was about. I had seen a scene on Instagram about this movie, and people were like, oh, this movie was terrifying. So I was like, okay, I'll watch it. But I didn't know any context about the story. The story is a true story about a woman who she's trying to be an actress in LA, and she goes like kind of like a last dish. She's not getting anything. She's going to all these auditions. She's not getting any callbacks. And her agent goes, okay, like for you to get eyes, we are going to put you on this game show called, maybe it's like Perfect Match or something. Anyways, the idea is that a woman is sitting on one side of a wall. She can't see the 3 contestants that are her matches on set. And she talks to them and asks them questions, and she gets to pick who her match is based on the answers that they give her.
Right.
And this was a real show back
I remember
in the 70s.
It's like a love show or like a dating show.
Yeah.
Contestant number 1, if you were to go on a date, where would you go? Yeah. I know what you're talking
exactly.
about.
So it follows this woman who goes on set, and she meets all her contestants. I don't want to say that this is spoiler, but if you want to watch the movie, maybe end here. I don't think this is a spoiler, but it turns out that one of the contestants on set was a man who was a serial killer, and she ends up picking the serial killer.
Of course.
And so it tracks her story and how she happened to meet this guy. It also tracks his story and the victims that he interacts with prior to meeting her.
Oh.
And it unfolds the story of what happens to her when she meets this guy. And the reason he won was because he was the most charismatic. He said all the right things. He knew what women wanted to hear.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what made him so successful. And he was charged for murdering 7 women, but some speculated that it was over 130 women.
Holy fuck.
Yeah.
130?
Yeah.
And you were only guilty for 7.
Yeah. And the reason he was found was because he had found this girl who was hitchhiking. She was homeless and trying to get to wherever she needed to go. He interacted with her. He was a photographer, and so he used to go up to women and be like, "You're very beautiful. I would love to take pictures of you." He would shower women with compliments. He was very charismatic. He would take them to an isolated location, and then he would he would
murder them.
Yeah, he would hurt them. And the reason she survived and the reason he got arrested was because she had woken up from being attacked. She was tied up, and she turned it into, "Hey, I guess we were a little rough last night. Can you please not tell anybody about this?" Like, she made it seem like, "Hey, are you okay?" Because I guess she woke up and he was sobbing, and he was like, "What did I do?" And he thought that he had already like finished the deed, and he didn't. Or he was also known for like essay. So maybe that's what had happened. And then she woke up. And so she was like, hey, can you not tell people about this? Like, I really, like, let's go get lunch. Like, she was consoling him. And so he kept her alive, and they got back to the car and they drove until they got to like, I think in the movie, it shows this. I don't know if this happened in real life, but she actually saw a truck with a person in it. And he actually tested her to see if she was going to get out and run. And she didn't. And then they got to a gas station, and he was like, okay, I'm going to go to the bathroom. Like, I'll be right back. And then she got out of the car and she ran to the local diner, and they called the cops. And that's how he got arrested, because she made him feel like the victim, not herself. And then he was going to get out for release, and she came back and kept him in prison.
Good for her.
He died in prison.
Good.
But he was so successful because he knew what women wanted to hear, and that's how he got them.
That's crazy. So that's what I mean.
It's possible.
It's
to
very
create an image and I'm not like, that's a very extreme example to like what's happening. Cause like, he didn't off anybody off.
He didn't off anybody off.
But there's a chance that he could also be completely falsifying his image. And maybe when his wife wasn't on set, maybe he was attracted to Blake. And so he tried to
maybe his wife is in on it. Like, who knows?
Maybe they have an open relationship. Like, these are things that we don't know. Maybe Blake set it all up for whatever reason we don't know about.
They must be free. If he's allowed, I'm assuming he's allowed, but if he's allowed to show her birthing video, like, they must be freaks. Because you would not catch me. Like, yeah, Monty, go ahead and show people my child breaking every muscle down there just to burst out.
I will say when they gave birth to their children, they were very open about like photos of her holding her baby, like when it was born. You don't really see her like bare chested or anything, but like they were open about that to the public. And because she has this company that's like all about breastfeeding and stuff, there have been photos. And again, it's not like nudity for the sake of nudity, but the page, and I wonder if they're still there, I could show you the page of her like company. They would show photos of like women like openly breastfeeding, where it was like, you could see a decent amount. So nudity is probably not something that they're uncomfortable with.
I guess so. But I'm like, I don't know. If that's your thing, then like, toot your own horn. I don't care as long as you're not hurting other people or yourself. But like, again, you can't just willy-nilly being like, want to see a picture of my wife giving birth? Nobody in the world is going to be, well, I'm sure some people, most people in the world are not going to be like, yeah, absolutely. Like, actually put it on the big screen TV so I can get like real good image of it. Can you send it to me through email actually? So I can watch it before I go to bed every night. Your wife giving birth. Like, nobody cares. I don't want to see that. I wouldn't even want to see my own birthing video. I don't think. Like, I think that would be traumatic for me, much less another woman.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know if
care.
I want to relive. Like, that's the kind of stuff that they have on their page. So, like, what's happening. Like,
I don't know. I also still think it's a little invasive on the baby's behalf. I know it's just a baby.
No, I know. And I'm not siding with what I'm saying is that could be very normalized to them. If that's something that they're marketing to the public, maybe to him, he's like, well, yeah, you're like my wife. Like, she's cool. And it's like, Blake's like, yeah, no,
yeah,
I'm not cool.
I'm your work partner.
But then the question comes into play. Where was her team?
Did
you
she
need
have
to
a
have
team?
She's a big star. Yes, she should have a team.
Well, I think she represents I don't know. I don't know if like her team was there. I don't know what her team even looks like. I'm pretty sure he was making comments to not just her but like other women.
For sure. And if that's also why she's speaking out, because there were other women who wouldn't maybe have the same amount of power to be able to speak out the way she did, then I totally get it. But why were these things happening multiple times? You think after like 1 or 2 times, you're filming for like 6 months, maybe longer. You think after like 1 or 2 times, you would want to bring some people in on your team to like observe these things. And
right?
If they did, and they didn't do anything, why? And if they did, and they did do stuff, then they could testify about that in court, which I'd be curious to find out. But why wouldn't you do something about it? Why wouldn't you refuse to film? Why, if you disliked it that much at the end, and you already have the money. Why wouldn't you? Is it because you signed a contract? Like, I don't know. I don't know.
Maybe she was like,
but if you signed a contract and it promised you these safety barriers and you don't have them, then why would you continue to film? And if you signed a contract and they didn't have those safety barriers, why did you sign the contract? You've signed so many contracts. So many.
She must know what she's doing.
She's done some intense movies. It's not like she's just like your genuine like action actor and she went into a drama for the first time. Like, she's done some real movies.
Yeah.
So if you didn't see those things, why did you sign something that you didn't see? Who gave you, like, who said go ahead and sign that? You have lawyers. You have a team that looks at these things for you. You have to.
Mm-hmm.
To keep yourself like protected. Your agent would have to have a team to do these things for you. I think
she signed on before the screenplay was like fully finished too. I don't know if she signed on because of the timing with like Deadpool.
And if the situation is that she didn't sign these things because Justin was so good at convincing her, then that's also terrifying. Because maybe she was manipulated the same way he's manipulating other people, right? And then it was too late and she started to see through his
view. I don't know.
Yeah, his false.
Unless she was like,
character.
You know what? Maybe he's like up and coming. You know, maybe she liked him in the beginning. It was like, he actually is like pretty cool. Like, I'll take a chance on him.
Yeah.
Like, his company hasn't quite figured shit out because I don't even know if they have fucking HR. I think he's HR, isn't he? Like, I don't know.
I don't know. But I'm so curious to see where this unfolds. Again, like, we don't really talk about this kind of stuff because ultimately, like, drama is kind of very much he said, she said. But this is such an interesting case. And I think regardless of how it unfolds, I'm going to feel like a sense of loss for someone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, regardless of who the actor or actress is, I'm going to be like, that really fucking sucks. I thought you were different.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't really know the dude. Don't know Justin.
A lot of people didn't know who he was. Yeah.
If he turns out to be like innocent and like this was all planted on him, like, I don't think I'd still care about him, but I would have empathy. I'd be like, you know what, dude? Like, that's so unfair for you.
Yeah.
And I wish you the best. But like,
I had a lot of respect for the things that he spoke out about, and I really did like. I thought I seemed to like his character, but if it's all bullshit, then
it was just like, you have trust issues now with like everybody.
And I also found him to be incredibly attractive. He, like, again, we talked about this like however many episodes ago that he was one of my celebrity crushes. Well, that's on hold now because who the fuck knows,
right? Yeah. I can't like you anymore.
No,
you're a weirdo, and like, unless it's not true, but he has to be at least somewhat a weirdo. I think best case scenario is like they're just two people that like just didn't get each other at all, and it spiraled,
and it ended in a lawsuit,
because they just are bad at communication. Like, that's best case scenario, but I don't know. From her claims, he's done some fucked up shit. From his claims, she could potentially be
manipulated the situation
a little bit. But like, I still kind of, I'm still more on her side than I am his. Because I'm like, she's suing you for a reason. She doesn't have to sue you. She could have walked away and just forgot it ever happened if you just could kind of pissed her off.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, even with the reputation, like, people would have forgotten it within a couple months. Somebody else would do something stupid that would catch everybody's attention. You know, like, it doesn't last. Hate on the internet doesn't last long because people just don't care enough to like linger forever. Like, even Shane Dawson now still has, like, people that love and follow him. And, like, I'm pretty sure he, like, molested a cat or something. I don't know.
You can't say that on this podcast,
allegedly, Spencer. I don't know anything.
No, you can't say that word.
Oh, sorry.
We're demonetized.
We're gonna have to cut that out. I'm pretty sure he,
If you cut that out, people are gonna... He bleeped a cat? Like, what do you...
I mean, yeah. Is that not what the claims are? Again, allegedly. I don't know. I don't know this dude, and I honestly just...
People be wild out here.
His cancellation, like, tainted my view of him. I don't care what he's doing. Of course,
the same thing.
You know, like, it happens. But these people still, like, they're still around, realistically. Again, like, the hate eventually dwindles and, like, kind of festers away onto the next person.
Until you get to this place. There's no return from this.
No, absolutely not. We hate forever.
Not hate.
Oh, we know we don't hate.
But Amber Heard will never be able to be a movie star.
Because Netflix released... I actually don't think that should have happened. I don't think there should have been a Netflix. It was so entertaining for me to watch.
Oh, I loved it.
Like, I loved every second of it because it was so juicy and so wild.
And Netflix definitely would have released it because it was a profound document of the time.
But they shouldn't have. It was almost like too intimate, too personal. And like, I think it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know if
when you shit on
world should've
somebody's
seen.
bed, anything can happen.
That's so wild. I can't believe she did that. Like, how do you get into a mind space of just like, I'm going to poop on your pillow to get back at you?
You know what?
Then blame it on a Pomeranian.
You know what I'm curious about is when they start testifying in court and stuff. Like, I'm curious to see what Ryan's going to say.
Me too. I want to know who testifies with them. I want to know if they have witnesses. I want to know if they have more text receipts.
When are they supposed to meet in court?
Oh, God, who knows? I don't know. Court takes like forever. I don't know how it works.
They'll speed run this one.
They probably will, because it's entertaining. Netflix is already like new season. Depp versus Heard season 2. Baldoni versus Lively. What's his name? I don't care.
Baldoni versus Lively. That's his name. His name's Baldoni.
Baldoni versus Deadpool.
Jason Baldoni versus Deadpool and wife.
Like, I don't know. You know?
Mm-hmm.
It's juicy. People are interested. I don't care to see the movie still, but you know.
Yeah, this was definitely one. I texted Spencer and I was like, we need to talk about this one.
I was actually, when you texted me, I was kind of excited because I don't know, we've never really talked about drama.
And honestly, like, to a certain degree, it's like, well, like, what's the point? You know what I mean? And like, we're not a gossip.
Who are we?
We're not a gossip podcast. We're not a gossip channel. Nor do I ever want to be.
No.
Just put that one out there.
Maybe like,
I don't know shit.
Very rare occasions.
I am like the rest of the public where I get most of my information from TikTok when it comes to stuff like this.
Same.
So like, it's falsified. But I needed to talk about this because it felt, I like Blake and I like the stuff she comes out with. And I think she is a good person that talks about some great stuff. But I also like Justin Baldoni and I think he makes some great content. And I think that he also comes out with some profound stuff. And somebody's getting the kick from my, and you know, who the fuck am I? I'm just a person. But for me, it's
from the public, I guess.
Personal, right? Like for me, I'm going to be curious. So,
yeah. I guess to wrap it up, it just, the case itself being so dramatic in what it is, it kind of just goes to show like, you don't really know
who your celebrities are. You really don't know who the people you look up to are when you haven't interacted with them. They could be, you know, like one of the episodes we talked about previously that you wanted to talk about in terms of the claims that are going out against many rappers and singers about the behavior that they chose to engage in when it came to P. Diddy. You don't really know who you know until you know them. Until
you're like, oh, I see.
Yeah.
I can see through now.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's disheartening.
So disheartening. And I did, truly, this was not on my 2025 bingo card. It really wasn't.
It wasn't on mine.
And like it was like January 1st and they were like, Justin Baldoni has sued back. And I was like, holy shit.
I wasn't expecting him to retaliate.
And you know what's funny is like people were saying in a meme that like 2025 started with literally what the fuck, which is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That is the beginning of 2025. And honestly, what the fuck?
What the fuck, man?
Yeah.
I don't know. This is supposed to be a good year for Leos, so here's hoping.
Honestly, every year we live is a good year. All right, guys. Well, that's like almost an hour and a half of content in a podcast. So if you're still here, thank you so much for our listening to our babbling. You can find our socials here. I don't remember what our socials are, so our amazing editor is going to put them here.
_the_ dysfunctional _duo.
Yes.
Or the _dysfunctional duo.
I think so. It's been a while.
I'm pretty sure that's it.
Either way, our amazing editor will put our socials here like he always does. And we will see you guys next episode.
Okay.
Happy 2025.
Happy 2025. Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.